Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the WiX Online Meeting 293, the third week of March at 10:30, our official time. People are talking about in chat how that meeting has been bumped around a bunch of times, but we finally have nailed the time and the date. Third Wednesday of the month at 10:30 Pacific time. And this meeting is recorded for those of you that aren't with us at that exact time. And maybe you can show up next week. That would be cool. Love to have you. What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about the WiX v6 release because that will happen before the next meeting. Surprise, surprise. We'll do another review of the open source maintenance fee, just so everybody's clear and clarifications of what's coming. And then we'll triage issues and WiX v6 issues. We'll do all of that. There's quite a few issues for us to get through, so we'll do that. And then, as usual, we'll take your questions and comments and things like that. So, looking forward, the no surprise, this has been talked about. Hey, we did a WiX RC1 back in February. We did the RC2 in March. We've gotten bugs from both of those. That's been good. And then we would do V6 on April 5th, but April 5th is a Saturday that I have to go drive to Portland, which is 3 hours away, for a soccer game. And thus I will not be essentially available on that Saturday. So, you know what? Let's just move it to Monday. Bob voted for Monday. It was either that or doing it early. And so we thought, you know what? Who releases on a Friday? We do, but we'll do it on Monday. Give us plenty of time to get everything lined up. I hope nobody's too heartbroken that we're not going to miss the 5th. I'm probably the most disappointed about that, but Bob tells me to get over it. So April 7th, we'll do the release. It'll be, the end of that day, all that kind of good stuff, like usual. All right. That's the WiX 6 release coming in just a couple weeks from now. All right. Open source maintenance fee. Been a little bit of discussion about this. It was on my side, I was kind of like stuck on hold for a bit because I really wanted to have the legal terms available, which are finally, as of like this week, came together. They're up on open source maintenance fee .org. If you go there, you can see those license terms. Those exact same terms are coming to WiX here very shortly. The terms essentially say, hey, if you pick up the binary releases of WiX, then make sure you're paying a maintenance fee because that's going to help us keep doing this. 2024 proved to be plenty expensive in doing lots of stuff for WiX. And this is a way of, one, helping WiX kind of hopefully see some things that help us to stay in and keep doing the maintenance, funding that work, and also honestly kind of helping the general world of open source maintainers be able to do the same thing for their individual projects. Since the launch of this, which was, I think, at our last meeting, it was almost like the exact same day or one day before or after, got a lot of maintainers reach out saying, this is a really cool idea. I really like this. This could really help me. And then everybody's kind of waiting on the EULAs because we needed that legal terms to be done. So on the maintainer front, lots of good feedback. We have seen the appropriate questions from the consumers of projects around what does this mean for us? And so far, logic has prevailed. People have been like, okay, that logically makes sense. I don't know how people are feeling happy or otherwise. Haven't got a lot of negative reactions, just a lot of questions about the right way to handle this. But this is happening in WiX v6 and rolling out to potentially other projects near you soon. Now that the EULA is available, other projects can start adopting this as well. Hey, and Ron just made it. Fantastic. So all the open source maintenance fee, the EULA's here. I was working on getting the EULA into the WiX, so that pull request will be coming today, before the end of the day, and I'll be wired in. But if you've read the open source maintenance fee, I am essentially walking the script that thing lays out on how to apply this to a project. I've been doing the same thing here. All right. So if you have questions, you can drop them in the issue here. We have a few people have been asking questions, been trying to respond to them. I've been a little busy last few days as I was going back and forth with the final drafts with the lawyer. That was fun. This was very much what did the lawyer say? It was a very nuanced challenge for them. And the lead lawyer was like, this is very subtle here. So it's been fun. And for those of you that think, dealing with license fees and stuff like that, sorry. Quick digression. When I did the first open source project from WiX, I had to hang out with a lot of lawyers as we kind of walk through what open source meant. They were there from the legal side, being very exact about what the words, and in some cases the semicolons, I remember a big discussion about a semicolon in a particular sentence, was all about, where I was there trying to make sure I carried forth the meaning, the intent, the goal of what it meant to be releasing an open source project for Microsoft. And so I developed a very uh, a deep appreciation for the challenges that lawyers have, where they are essentially programming human lives laws with English. And I hung out with a lawyer for a while, or she was in law school, and she helped me understand tort and other very low level systems, where essentially I became very convinced that lawyers are essentially programming the real world laws with, in our case, English. And it just seemed extremely challenging, especially when you could have different people agree on what a semicolon meant. So, anyway, long way to say was, it was a very interesting experience to go through that sort of thing again with this EULA, getting down to both the intent and the actual wording. And I think we're finally there. So, all of this is unblocked and moving forward here. But the intent has been the same since the beginning, since this was launched, a month ago. All right. Yeah. All right. That's the maintenance fee, and it's coming soon. The details, or the implementation, is coming into Wix very soon. So on that front, let's go look at the issues, because the issue where this is being discussed is one of those among many others. Bob, you ready for us to go do triage and Wix 6 discussions of items?
One or the other, not both.
We'll start with triage. So
Okay.
let's go through the issues, the open issues, just in general. All right, so this first one, 8865, the defer the removal upgrade. I need to have some brain cycles applied that I have not spent those brain cycles. I maybe I'll have time before the next meeting. I'm skeptical, but let's just leave it here. I'm sorry, and hopefully I'll have some time to think about it. But I do need to drill into this one and think about the responses. It's not in Wix 6, it's already marked V future. I've essentially said the same thing for the last meeting or two. Sorry. But we'll get tackled. All right, moving on. 8882, fix for default feature to respect sections alternative fixes. This is the one we talked about, Bob?
Yeah.
Yes. And then you came up with a very elegant solution, did you not?
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so Bob came up with a very elegant solution for this. In the end, it was pretty, it was wonderful, and this issue, which is very subtle, is now fixed and has other things duplicated to it. So it's a good thing, a good issue to have fixed in the world. So I think we can untriage that, mark it appropriately, and send it on its way. 8939, is that not a dupe, or?
Well, essentially,
Yeah,
this is the one that I had discovered the bug
right.
previously, try to fix. You said meh, so that prompted 8882. Then someone discovered the bug that I discovered.
Okay. All right.
So
So, all right. These are the same issue then. Could have been duped, but they're closed. So onward and upward. 8941. This test was assigned to me. It is still commented out, because it's intermittent. I am, or not, it's not commented out. It is currently marked skipped. Given that it's an intermittent failure, and I believe that Bevan, who did the work on the whole group changes, actually fixed the underlying issue. But because it's intermittent, I don't feel like introducing this into our world in the Wix 6 timeframe, and making life difficult while we're trying to do releases and stuff like that. So we should put this in V future and turn it on. Or actually, 7 exists, so we should put this in 7 and bring this test back, or otherwise decide how we're going to fix it right away in Wix 7.
does that mean you're volunteering?
Yeah, you can leave it to me. I'll bring it back, and then if it starts failing, then I'm going to open another issue to say, hey, it's still failing. But the the target issue, I think, hopefully is fixed. But intermittent tests, I just don't want to insert that into our. I don't want to insert the uncertainty. Insert the
No, especially
uncertainty.
because these tests run at the end. So if it fails because of cosmic rays, we've burned an
Yeah,
hour.
exactly. Insert the uncertainty. Yeah, okay. That, I don't know why that sounded so weird to me. All right, anyway, so we'll take that right at the beginning 7. 8958, support install time bundle scope. Yeah, this is, oh, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
There's a whole design and everything
We
about
pushed
this.
it off last meeting.
Yes. Do we want to talk about this now in detail? Or do we want to bring it back after the WiX 6 release is done? Since we have to do the WiX 6 review too. Guess
Sorry, bring it back like next meeting, or
yeah, next meeting.
oh,
Again, skip it because we're doing a WiX 6 release as opposed like only because we have so many other things going on.
yeah,
Kind
I'm
of thing.
fine skipping it for another
Right.
month.
One more. You're not waiting anyway, but it's not going to 6 as it is anyway. So
No.
we'll keep on rolling. All right, 8959. This was one that we discussed before and asked if it reproed with 502 because they ran 311 too. Okay. They didn't come back. Are we closing this or?
Yeah, I mean, it's an intermittent failure anyway.
Oh,
So we need a lot more information that so
yeah.
far they're
And
not
that's access
providing.
denied, isn't it?
eFail.
Oh, that's just eFail.
It's mixed. Yeah.
I never can. eFail and access denied look the same, but
Right.
it's the 7. I don't know. Anyway, blah.
I think. Oh wait, now
eFails.
I got it wrong. Did I get it wrong?
I'm gonna look it up because we have error code. I was right. Access denied.
No, it is access denied.
See, you go to the site that we run, and you can paste in an error code into it, and it will tell you access denied. That's a resume. And this big old honking long thing is the H result for error number 5, which is also access denied. Anyway, it's a cool website if you ever need to look up error codes. Not all of them in the world are there, but a lot of them are.
People have to look up error codes.
Yeah, so any error code, it's like, and if we're missing them, one day it'd be nice to add them, but it's not top of mind for us. WiX 6 is top of mind for us. All right, anyway, so yeah, access denied. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, sorry, I thought it was eFail because it's one of those, really generic failure codes.
Error access denied. Yeah. All right. Package with other dependents not uninstalled despite BA request to force uninstall. There's a pull request for this 8962. We have to think through the implications of all this. So I think we should put this in vFuture to talk about it and see if we're going to bring it into 7. I think we're mostly convinced this is the right thing to do, but we should at least come back around at the beginning of 7 and decide if it's the right thing to do.
Okay, so how do we label that so that we reevaluate?
Well, we have to go through all the vFuture issues at the beginning of 7, probably next meeting, and say which of these go forward and which one are we killing off and all that. So after the WiX 6 release, we also need to talk about shutting down all the V3 and V4 issues, or how we're going to review them, or what we're going to do in that whole space, because we essentially punted on that as we were in the middle of WiX 6 release. Essentially, we're doing WiX 6 release. That's sucking up all the extra space we have. All these extra things are then being backlogged until the meeting in April, which is after the WiX 6 release. So I think that's what's going to happen. And I want to put an agenda together and we'll decide. Probably vFuture has a higher priority over V3, V4, and then we have to decide what we want to do with V3 and V4. So we will be talking about those. And one can dream that we don't have however many triage issues out of the gate. almost 25 issues out of the gate right after WiX release. But could be worse. Could have a lot because people pick up WiX 6 and suddenly decide to start finding issues, which would be a little late. But oh well. All right. 8966 sign bundles not executed with log files now.
Yeah, so this is a think just a misunderstanding of something that isn't documented, to be completely fair.
Mm.
Uh, the sign bundle task only runs when you have attached containers. And in the logs and sample, it is an uncompressed bundle, so the only attached container is the WiX bundle. And someone, I don't remember where I heard this, pointed out that sign bundle engine, which does run and is what determines that there are no other attached containers, signs the only thing that exists when you have an uncompressed bundle, which is the engine and the UX container. And sign bundle doesn't run because if you have no other attached containers, well, it would be bad because you can't re-sign something that's already been signed. So it's working as designed. Sign bundle does not run if you do not have attached containers.
The sign bundle engine always runs.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, that's what determines whether you have attached containers because while it's doing its thing to possibly extract the engine plus UX container, it goes, oh, and by the way, there are no other attached containers, so here,
Yeah.
I'll let you know that for downstream.
Those sign targets are challenging given the optionality that appears in them and the cost it takes to figure out what is optional. So they
Right,
do
right.
optimizations like that one where it's like, oh, well, now that we're in the bundle, let's go ahead and take advantage of that, as opposed to, hey, let's go figure out this bundle and then a decision. So I see. So the issue is they would rather, in the end, they want sign bundle to do the work, but only sign bundle engine is doing the work. Right.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know. It to me, it sounds like this is something they noticed and considered it a bug.
Got it.
But
All right. So do we just turn this to a doc thing and we should just add a little line around sign bundle that says, hey, by the way, this won't run if you don't have attached containers.
um, sure, how do we mark that?
Just mark it as doc, give it to me, and I'll do it. I have a sweep that I want to do here in a bit. A few
Okay,
things open on it, so I won't lose it then.
okay.
All right. So we'll turn that to a doc thing. Just to make it clear when people find out the sign bundle doesn't run, they won't think that a bad thing happened. That seems
Right,
fair.
right. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, it isn't documented. So.
Yeah. So we'll fix that. 8967. Unexpected build failure using runtime identifier on project reference. Attempting to build this. Right. So they're using, right, project reference. They're using set target framework. That's strange. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then publish equals true. And then runtime identifier. They're trying to pass the property runtime identifier down. Does not contain information for runtime. Yeah. Okay. They provided a project. I want to look at this one. You can give this to me. I have another thing, set of work to do in the targets. I want to make sure that it's working. I actually had another bug fix I had to do that was related to the next issue we're going to look at, that confirmed that everything was right. So I'll go ahead and take this and take a look at this, for V future, I think, and then I'll come back to it. Yes. All right. Building WiX project builds a dependent project when target frameworks are defined. Right. So what they're finding is that when they have used target frameworks, yeah. So if you have only an SDK style project that only targets a single target framework and using target framework tag, then you'll note it. Then it turns out that you don't get all these extra builds, and that is true. The This is a because it's complicated. It eventually turns into interactions between the inner and outer build and what Wix needs to do to build these child projects. So if you go look at the MS build, I just happened to look at the documentation on SDK styles for CS projects. It explicitly calls out If you use the singular target framework instead of target frameworks, you can save a lot of work because you don't have both the inner and outer build. And when Wix has target frameworks, it has to do extra builds to make sure that the projects are published with the appropriate target frameworks, plural, however many you have, even if you have a single one, which ends up causing what looks like an extra build in the project. It is complicated, and the answer is don't set target frameworks if you only have a single target framework, because you do get a lot of extra work. So, target single target framework. If you target single target framework, do so. Don't use the plural. If you use the plural, yes, you're going to get extra builds through it. And the MS Build SDK, the MS Build documentation actually calls that out as well. So this is by design, essentially. And what they said here is correct. If you use a single target framework, you don't have problems. Multiple target frameworks is an advanced scenario. It ends up being more expensive. That's what happens. Why are they putting target frameworks? Well, so you can specify in Wix which target frameworks to publish or to build the child project in. So you can build a single you could target a CS project and specify multiple target frameworks in there to build multiple of them. If your question is, if they only have a single target framework, why are they then specifying multiple target frameworks in the Wix project? Yeah, don't do that. You're basically saying you're doing all the extra work. So Zach, you are correct if they only have a single target framework. And if they have multiple target frameworks, then you need to do it, because when we build, we have to make sure that the project gets built with the appropriate target framework or multiple target frameworks. Anyway, yeah. So don't use target frameworks unless you have multiple target frameworks and you want the complexity that comes with it. That's what it comes down to. And yes, I spent a long time in there doing all this initially. And when I went back in, I just had to make sure that everything was working correctly, and it was. So I was in there for a bug in Heatwave that we were fixing, by the way. That was separate, but since I was there, I was able to do that. And I didn't have a chance to go look at the runtime identifier because it wasn't in the mix of all these, so I just didn't do that. All right, 8971. Building a project stored in WSL fails with MSI exception, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so Windows service failed to start, contact your personnel. Yeah, the Windows installer is not going to want to launch it. If I copy the files back to WildSys, it works fine. So yeah, so if they want this to work in WSL, they need to talk to the Windows installer team to make the Windows installer be able to open MSIs inside a WSL folder. The only question is, should we improve this error message when this happens? I don't know that we get a whole lot more information than, well, yeah, the Windows installer failed to start. We could capture this error exception and put a message base that says, the Windows installer is not working inside this environment, essentially. So it gets not to be a WiX 0001 error. Or we could declare it's pretty exceptional and leave it as it is. I don't have a strong opinion either way.
Or do I?
Yeah. Yep.
Other than if we start down that path, yeah. WSL isn't the only reason. So I'm not sure we end up with a more actionable error message.
No, that's
unless
the problem.
we just say,
yeah,
we can't run validation. I mean, this is happening because of validation.
Correct.
We could special case that, or only handle the exception inside validation.
Yes, it would
essentially and just say, yeah, we can't run validation.
Right. Validation can't be run because the Windows installer, it cannot be accessed. You need to investigate why the Windows installer cannot operate inside this environment. If you have problems, go talk to Microsoft. I mean, essentially, it falls down to that, because it always ends up being, well, the Windows installer failed to run. It's not a lot we can do about that necessarily. Yeah. See, and
Yeah,
if I double click the MSI from the store to WSO, it fails the same error. Looks to me like XK MSIs for WSO might not be possible. Yeah. So go take it to Microsoft, not us, but we could
yeah.
approve their error message.
We could, but I don't know that it is a significant improvement.
We're not going to
Again,
say much better.
right, exactly. MSI, couldn't service failed to start. I mean, that's not a great error message, but we're going to rephrase it.
Yeah, we do end up
That in the
rephrasing.
end says it couldn't be execute. I don't know. I'm going to say negative 0.5 on that one.
Yeah. So do we just resolve it external and move on?
Yeah.
Okay. And let the internet find this issue when they search for that error message, and they'll find this issue and be like, oh, WSL is not supported by the Windows
Yep.
installer. And we'll move on. 8972 is a cute little issue. They were trying to specify custom table argument, and it was completely bypassed by the command line executable. All the tests verified it because they went underneath the executable. It was just the executable that ignored this, and this person did a nice job and provided a fix for it. And there's no unit test, but in the end, I was like looking at how you would add a unit test. I was like, there is nowhere to add a unit test for this other than run the exe to test the command line args. And
Yeah.
seriously,
No.
you know,
The functionality is tested. That's what matters.
exactly. So anyway, it was a nice to see someone find the issue and then fix it. So yay, it is already closed and fixed. Introduce the open source maintenance fee. I was talking about this just before this before we did triage. All these things are happening. I am currently in the add EULAs to NuGet packages and learning the GitHub sponsorship work that has to be done. Once the EULAs will be done today, I got it from the lawyers. I will add them to the NuGet packages. Excuse me. Then this will be done, and once that is done, then the README. I should have probably put the EULAs up, but well, I didn't know which way things were going to come together. Anyway, so that's the progress on that. And I have been responding to people as they ask questions, and a few people have asked questions while I was focused on EULAs, and they will get answers later today. So this is moving forward into 6 and will be done very soon. All right, that is 8974. 8976, spurious Wix 311s for advertised shortcuts and naked files. Bob, do you know about this? Oh yeah, you know.
I fixed it, so
okay.
I know something.
Yes, right. There it is. Let's go ahead. I don't remember this one.
Yeah, this is just a timing issue when using naked files because it has to generate components, and they become the key path, but at the time you're processing the child elements, it's not explicitly the key path. So you get a warning. Now they're explicitly key paths, and the child elements are like, okay.
Right. Cool. So everything worked fine. Now you don't get the warning.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Yay. So like I said, spurious warning. Fixed. 8977 cannot build bundle with 32 MS build. This is you again, right, Bob? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This was.
Oh, this was subtle.
This was an artifact of the change to using traversal projects to build the ext segment of the WiX source tree. For some reason, the unit tests were building a 64-bit, and that flowed down to the extension DLL, which just is the nature of MS Build passing along the request for 64-bit. And that caused the extension DLL to also be 64-bit, unlike every other extension DLL. So when you run it from 32-bit MS Build, it's like, oh, sorry, can't do that. So I just got rid of the 64-bitness.
All right. This is always why taking changes after a release or after an RC is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's one of those.
also, why we
Who's
got
going to
tests for
run?
all of these.
Well, we have tests for the
Yep.
8976, 8977. It's like, oh, we could. And I actually looked at it, and it's something to consider because right now we build many things across different versions of MS Build. Mostly it's desktop framework MS Build and .NET MS Build. They're very costly in terms of performance.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't want to add a third layer to that, but it's something we could do.
Yeah. All right. 8978. Support reproducible builds of MSI packages. Another one is reproducible people. It's like, why reproducible builds are important. Yeah, sure. Lots of other systems have to be in place before reproducible builds are the things that you're focused on, but that's fine. Anyway, so they put out a proposal of the things that do change every build, and these change by design. And
By importance, like package code.
yeah, too. So I put some notes in here about what would have to happen to make these things really work.
Yeah, I think we have to reject this issue though,
Why?
because there are several instances where they refer to WSX files.
Oh, I saw that. We should
It's
just edit it.
unacceptable.
We should edit it and chastise them. Yeah, like, seriously. Where does this come from? But you're right. We should fix that. Anyway, it's a reasonable request. I don't care. Someone wants to
Well,
work on it.
I
I
mean,
gave things. I mean, I get it, and I'm like, yeah, this. I don't care until the customer needs it. I'm not even gonna bother. It's just a whole lot of work of whatever. It's a bunch of busy work
yeah,
for
and
people that want something that we haven't closed all the loops through. So,
well, and your comments are correct. The idea of forcing the package to be reproducible by ignoring, like, by completely ignoring the inputs and creating fake data in place of it is not, I think, in the spirit of reproducible builds.
yeah, yeah. No, this. I mean, technically speaking, what I listed would be correct. If you give the same inputs, you get the same outputs. Okay.
Right, exactly. Well, and I would argue that needs to be the case. So ignoring the sources is incorrect
Oh, yes.
for the concept of a reproducible build.
Yeah. A warning is not enough. So,
Uh, Completely agree with that. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyway, there you go. That's the work. I'm sure this is drive by saying, hey, this would be cool. You guys should do it. And be like, yeah, go jump in a lake. 8983. Custom action before does not work in install UI sequence. I didn't understand this problem.
Yeah, it took them back and forth.
What was that? This is closed, so I assume you came to a. Okay. So we have
The
numbers.
order is different compared to Wix 3.
Oh, so somewhere in all the changes we made, the sort order of actions shifted around a little bit. So if you just had a bunch of random befores and afters without being really precise, then they could end up being bounced around. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, it
That's why it's a
basically,
major version.
well,
Yeah.
also I'm curious. I mean, there's no guarantees in the documentation, at least, and we all know that's critical. There's no guarantees about sort order other than if you say something should come before something else,
It will.
it will come before. It doesn't mean immediately before. It doesn't mean 5 sequence steps
Right.
before.
Yep.
It you're only guaranteed that it's before.
Yep.
So it does mean that you might have to be careful and your custom actions might need to reference other custom actions rather than.
If it matters, that's what they should have done before. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it doesn't matter, then it didn't matter. Apparently, it mattered, and they weren't being precise, and they found out that in a major upgrade, they got broke. Okay, fine. Not our bug. Now, if things have
Not
been
a bug.
before and after, like whatever, well, it's their bug, not ours. All right, 8988 unregister failure in BA after installation is successful. Um, oh, they closed this and decided they would go hunt down why things are deleting our keys. Great. Well, uninstall keys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were a couple of things baked in. The key going away is the cause of some error messages,
Yep.
but they happened after the chain is installed, and they were expecting a rollback in that case. Like, no.
Yeah. Okay. 8989. Oh, I wasn't prepared for that. 8989. Yeah, so if you have an exclusion to a file that does not exist, it will prevent the files from being harvested.
Well,
And that,
it's a directory. It's the
sorry, a
path,
directory.
not
Sorry, if a
not
directory doesn't exist. Sorry, not
yeah.
a file. If the directory does not exist, if you exclude a directory that does not exist, it will prevent the files from being harvested. And so they send a PR without a test, and I didn't really look at the code because they also didn't sign the CLA. So I just went and said, you know what, I'll implement this real quick. So there's a PR out for this for mine as well. That's why there's two PRs. Because if this is going to get in, it needs to get in right away, and I don't want to battle a CLA conversation. And it seems like a good thing to fix.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, that will be fixed as soon as someone reviews it.
And
All right. 8992 Wix v6 don't upgrade v5 versions. And that is true. Wix v6 installers do not upgrade previous versions of the Wix toolset. And I fixed this. That's by design. And then I fixed it by making sure that the package ID for the CLIs is now major, has the major version in it. So we don't have to change the code anymore to make that happen. It will just automatically happen when all the version numbers change in Wix. So that is that. So that was the fix for this one. Is that, yep, you can have both the 5 CLI tools and the 6 CLI tools on the same machine and deal with them if you want for some reason. All right. 8993. The .NET-FX Redis signature in 502 apparently is not right again. They changed the public key, or did we not get 502 updated? I don't know which it is, but
I don't either.
But yeah, they could keep changing it, so you have to keep chasing them as they keep changing it. If they keep changing it. Do we have another issue on this tracking, like how to solve this generally? Or I don't even know if there is.
I don't. I want to say we do, but I can't recall. I don't recall opening it myself. So
No, it'd be something that was out there.
but I think so because we talked about the way that Azure Trusted Signing is going to work.
Yeah,
Because
how they have
that also invalidates the thumbprint.
yes,
So
have re-signing, I think.
no, I thought it was like every month or something like that.
Okay, all right, maybe every month.
But they essentially added a field that serves as the thumbprint for what we need.
Yeah, they add an EKU that's supposed to be stable for a particular signing account. I don't know what they call it in trusted signing service. Yeah. So anyway, there's space to doing this, but yes, as long as they keep changing the signatures for these things, you have to keep chasing them. And it does mean that once you're in the field, you will get broken because they'll change it and then you're broken. And we just don't have a solution for this because they keep changing their certificate chain that we have to somehow verify is the right one, and it just doesn't keep working.
Well,
So
Burn's behaving correctly. They are changing the certificate
yep,
in dramatic ways.
Actually, this guy could have been hacked. Like we don't know. Could have been. Oh yeah, you did not get the net effects that you thought you were getting. That was an attack virus thing. We can't tell because this. All we can tell you is that the signature is not correct on that thing that you just downloaded, and yeah, we're getting broken. So yeah, this is by design, unfortunately. For trusted signing service, we may be able to implement a feature for that EKU, but EKU, is that their EQID?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, the ID is stuffed inside the certificate, but until everybody uses that or something, or is this just going to continue to get broken by changes to the outside world? Because yeah, it looks like you're being hacked. Sorry, that's just what's happening there. It's
Now,
disappointing.
do we want to take a change to 6 to use the current thumbprint?
If someone wanted to do it, we could take it. It won't be worse.
It might live temporarily.
Right. Hey, you can like, hey, here you go. You're a little bit closer until they change it again. Because they seem to be fine doing that. Or maybe we just have an old one and we didn't get the one updated. I don't know. So in that case, the 6 would help because they haven't changed it since the last 2 times that they broke it, however many times they broke it. So yeah. If someone wanted to send it, that'd be fine. Including in 7. I guess we take it in 7 too. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, up for grabs. So we can send the new one. I guess that's the answer. It's up for grabs.
All right.
And it'll be broken whenever they change it again, which they seem to be doing. All right. MSI removal issue during burn installer 5 after previous upgrade 3. Yes. So they upgraded, and we have this minor upgrade. When doing a minor upgrade, the package identifiers are not the not package, the provider
Dependency.
keys. Yeah, the dependency keys. The provider keys are not exactly the same. We have an issue 778 already tracking that, and I'm pretty sure that one's like up for grabs if someone could come up with a way to set that, and then we would solve that problem. Or people could work around it by doing the workaround that's listed in 778, which is you specifically provide your provider key, which is what's going to have to be anyway because of a backwards compatibility thing there. So, all right. Well, that wasn't too bad. We punted on a couple things again. The big long conversations that we will have soon. And now we're here. So let's go look at 6 issues. 6 issues were cool in that before we started this, all of them had triage still on them. So we've already talked about all of them. This change of comment will move. Actually, I'm going to refresh since Bob's probably moved them appropriately. All right, that one moved. We have a fix for the WiX convert. The open source maintenance fee will be moving along as we go here. The spurious warning was fixed. The cannot build 32-bit is fixed. The file harvesting has a fix out, just needs the review. And WiX 6 don't upgrade 5 versions, and we just made sure that the CLI will not need updating. The CLI install will not need updating in WiX 7 because it now uses a variable for the major version number. And that's all the things in WiX 6.0.0 right now. And we release in not a little more than 2 weeks. Is that right? No, a week and a half. No, wait, no, 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks. All right, the 7th. April 7th is, all right, 2 weeks is April. 2 weeks from now is April 2nd, and then 5 days after that. Due to April 5th landing on a Saturday. All right. So yeah, all of this will be in WiX 6 coming very, very soon. So our next meeting will be April 16th, which will be after that, and we can look a little bit, see how things are going. I'm sure if issues pop up, we will talk about them because there'll be plenty of things to triage. Anything else people want to talk about right now, right here? Now's the time. Let's see. So we're back in the 3rd Wednesday of April at 10:30 in Pacific. I think I'm in daylight time. I think I changed that daylight time correctly now. And maybe we will stop doing that thing, but we'll see. That's all I have right now. Bob, did you have anything to add?
I'm good.
How does it work how does the maintenance fee work for multiple products? I ask GitHub issues. It's per organization. So your organization could use WiX a lot, and you can do that. Now, so I've had some people like Microsoft is the extreme example, so I'll use them because they kind of hit it. The fee says per organization. So your company pays the fee, you can use the WiX toolset in it. For really super large companies, some people have suggested, well, I mean, really, Microsoft pays once, and tiny little person pays once. And the thing I've posited to even some of the people at Microsoft, I said, so maybe you're thinking about each P&L will pay, because honestly, I don't know that Microsoft has a way of paying singularly for all of the different teams inside Microsoft. The Office team does not share the budget with the Azure team, does not share the budget with the Xbox team, and things like that. So they have their own budgets. They may end up having to pay individually, but the maintenance fee is designed to be simple, not trying to get into all that P&L stuff and things like that. So it's just your organization, it pays. And if you think your organization's like, yeah, paying once totally makes sense, then that's good. And if your organization's like, you know what, we have multiple large companies inside our company, essentially, Office and Windows are larger than most software companies out there. Maybe we should have the different heads of those organizations pay their maintenance fees separately. But the answer is you pay once and you are covered, because the design is to be simple and straightforward. And then I'll let people inside organizations have conversations about what are we doing to make sure that this dependency of ours does not stop working. That's really the conversation I hope people are having when they hit the maintenance fee, that they're like, wait, we've been doing nothing. They've been doing all this work. What are we doing to have it so they keep doing this work and don't just walk away from the project, or whatever, or all the other different things that projects have done. So that's really where we want it to land. That's where, if you've watched the video, that's where it ends. Is you need to have a conversation at your organization going, what are we doing to make sure that our projects that we depend on keep working? So, but I'll answer that in the issue. Actually, that one's not made it to the FAQ. Probably should also be added to the open source maintenance fee FAQ as well. I don't think that one's been promoted. I'm getting feedback from different places and trying to incorporate it. So in the end, a lot of it needs to end up on the open source maintenance fee direction. But so learning and updating things. So there you go, Zach. That's the very long answer to the very short answer, which is, yeah, you pay for your organization. Other things? Anything else? Bobby said no. We have a bit of work. I'm just gonna let all of you know I'm a little disappointed that we're not doing April 5th, but that's what happens. I will be in Portland, and so the 7th it will be, and we will be slightly off the date for whatever. But there we go. It's a cool initiative. Yeah, I've got a lot of feedback from people that it just makes sense, which is, I was afraid of it for a long time. And it, but I've got a lot of feedback since then that people are like, this makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm hoping we get more discussions about what's going on in the open source, sustainability. What are we doing to help maintainers like survive in this space? Because when you end up with a really successful project, you end up with a lot more pressure on it. And we need to do more than what we've been doing. Comment on an old heatwave issue a couple weeks ago. We'd better open a new one. The heatwave issues are moving to the discussion. So if you go to the docs, you look for heatwave, it tells you where to send issues. So if you send it to the old issue tracker, which is still available because we haven't migrated everything over yet, it might have not been picked up as cleanly, but you can start a discussion in the discussion area to talk about it. Do you know what the issue was? Because then we can maybe get ahead of it. An old heatwave issue. So other things, while I poke at Zach since he's here to see what his particular heatwave issue is that's out there. We just did a release of heatwave that fixed, oh gosh, we got hit by Visual Studio breaking changes, and then we had to get all the WiX 6 updates into it. And there was something else, and it was just like, oh, and they were hunting down this mysterious system.exception message where if you're disconnected from the internet, and it tried to load the SDK, then you just got system.exception from Visual Studio that we could not reproduce, and we think it turned out to be an old Visual Studio issue. Anyway, it was a whole lot of Visual Studio issues around there. Oh, delayed Wix loading. Yeah, do it differently, I think is going to be the answer to that one, Zach. Just don't use a target to do the loading. Just bring the Wix exception, the Wix lib in directly. You end up looking more like Wix extensions, and you can avoid a lot of the complications. But so yeah, like I think that one's been triaged. It's pretty low on the list of things to go make happen out there. So there's probably an easier way to get what you want done there. All right. I always have to kind of hold, make sure there's time. Make sure everybody has a chance. All right. Zach had a chance to respond, which means if you're typing a big long thing, hopefully it's out there. No. All right. Just making sure everything's. It's great to have all of you here. We will be back again this time slot in April 16th with WiX 6 behind us. A little more room to breathe and a whole lot of issue backlog that we're just going to have to decide how we're going to tackle now that WiX 3 and WiX 4 are both closed, and we're rolling forward on the yearly cadence, and things seem to be rolling along that way. What do we do with that huge backlog and bring it forward, and or not, or what? So we'll have, I think that's probably going to be one of the big questions we have in April, the beginning of April, assuming we're not dealing with, WiX 6 not working, which would be disappointing, but always possible because not enough people look at the RCs, and if something's just completely broken, maybe we'll look at it. So, all right, that's what we got. When we talk next, WiX 6 will be out, and we will be moving forward with, I guess, WiX 7. Until then, you guys take it easy. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.